Imagine working yourself half to death for a boss who doesn't respect you, in a job you hate, in a life that feels like it's on repeat, and then dying in your sleep from something so random it's almost insulting. That's exactly how this story begins. But instead of ending there, that same tired, overworked man wakes up with the mind of an adult, the body of a child, god-tier magic, and an entire fantasy world waiting for him to finally live life on his own terms. This is the story of Ryoma, the salaryman who died and was reborn as an orphan with SS rank magic power. Act 1. Death, rebirth, and a world full of slimes. Our main character used to be a completely ordinary working class man in urban Japan, stuck in a soul-crushing corporate grind, following the orders of an incompetent boss day after day with no end in sight. Then, in the middle of an ordinary night, he sneezes in his sleep, falls off his bed, hits his head on a table, and dies instantly from the injury. It's such an anticlimactic way to go that even he can't help but be disappointed in himself. He wakes up standing in front of 3 beings who introduce themselves as gods. They calmly inform him that he's dead, and even they seem to agree that his death was a little pathetic. As an apology of sorts, they offer him a deal, a fresh start in a brand new world overflowing with magic and fantasy, where he can finally live however he wants. Exhausted by his old life, he agrees without hesitation. As a parting gift, the gods hand him a rare ability, mastery over multiple elements of magic, before sending his soul into the body of an 8-year-old child, dropping him off in an unfamiliar wilderness, and leaving him completely on his own from that point forward. When he wakes up in this new body, surrounded by dense forest and distant mountains, he casually kicks a tree and snaps it clean in half. His body might be a child's, but his mind, willpower, and raw strength carried over completely intact from his old life. While exploring, he stumbles across a small blue slime and instantly takes a liking to it. After digging through a guidebook, he learns a spell that lets him tame it, officially recruiting his very first companion in this world. Fast forward 3 years, and our now 11-year-old hero, going by the name Ryoma, is living peacefully and completely alone deep in the forest, having tamed over 1,000 different slimes along the way. Some of them produce poison, some wash dishes, some even dispose of trash for him. It's a strange, quiet, self-sufficient life, and he hasn't encountered a single other human being in all that time. Act 2. First contact that changes the day he hears shouting in the forest and finds a group of armed men from the capital, one of them badly wounded and bleeding out. Nervous but unwilling to just watch someone die, Ryoma steps forward with medicine, calms the group down despite a sword briefly pointed his way, and saves the injured man's life on the spot. He leads them to his hidden home, a secret door built directly into a mountainside, sealed with his own magic, and their shock only grows as they realize an 11-year-old boy is responsible for all of it. The leader of the group turns out to be General Jamil, accompanied by his subordinates Camille, Zeph, and the injured man Hughes. When a magical crystal ball confirms Ryoma isn't lying about his backstory and reveals stats far too high for a child his age, the group is stunned all over again. Before they leave, Jamil tells him to come find him at the capital if he's ever in trouble. Weeks later, Jamil returns, this time with his entire family, including his wife, a powerful mage in her own right, and his daughter Ilya, a girl close to Ryoma's age. They've come to properly thank him for saving Hughes' life. When Ilya learns Ryoma has tamed over 1,000 slimes, she's fascinated, especially by 2 completely unknown species he created himself. A cleaner slime that can scrub away even the filthiest grime, and a scavenger slime that eats waste and produces fertilizer. Utterly captivated, Ilya, who dreams of becoming a beast tamer like her ancestors, asks Ryoma to help her catch her very first slime, sparking the beginning of a real friendship. Act 3. Leaving the forest that night, over dinner, Jamil's father makes Ryoma an unexpected offer. Come travel with them to their home city. With nothing left holding him to the forest, Ryoma agrees, packs his entire home into a magical storage space in front of everyone's amazement, says a quiet goodbye to the shrine of gods he'd built for himself, and sets off on the road with the family. The journey isn't without its challenges. A violent storm and a landslide threaten to add days to their trip, until Ryoma steps in and single-handedly flattens the blocked path with earth magic, saving the group valuable time. When they finally arrive at the city of Selphville, Jamil's family, who are working to restore the city to its former glory, welcome him to live with them. During his baptism at the local church, Ryoma is unexpectedly pulled into the presence of the gods once again. They congratulate him on everything he's built for himself and reveal something remarkable. He isn't the only person from Earth to have been reincarnated into this world. Ilya, it turns out, has ancestors on both sides of her family who were reincarnated souls themselves, including the very origin of her family's legendary beast-taming bloodline. It's a quiet reminder that Ryoma's story is part of something much bigger than himself. Act 4, building a life from scratch back in the real world. Jamil's father gives him some important advice: hide his true strength when necessary, and join a guild properly to build a respected reputation instead of relying on his own overwhelming power alone. The beast-taming guild turns him away, unconvinced that mere slimes count as real combat companions, but the Adventurers Guild is a different story entirely. In a brutal admission test involving archery, dozens of moving targets, and a surprise knife attack, Ryoma doesn't just pass. He obliterates every benchmark the examiner throws at him, earning him a spot in the guild on the spot. His very first job takes an unexpectedly emotional turn, cleaning out a garbage-flooded basement for a desperate catwoman named Minga, whose home has been buried under filth for ages with no one willing to help. Using his scavenger and cleaner slimes together, Ryoma clears the entire disaster in a single visit, leaving Minga in tears of gratitude. Word spreads fast, and soon he's tasked with an even worse job: disinfecting a poison-leaking public restroom that no other adventurer will go near. He handles it completely alone, trusting his own absurd stats to keep him safe, and finishes the impossible task without a single complaint. That night, arriving home late just like he used to back on Earth, Ryoma is stunned to find Jamil's entire family waiting up for him, a stark, emotional contrast to the empty house he used to come home to after his own mother passed away in his old life. It's a small moment, but it hits him hard, and he breaks down in tears as Jamil's wife comforts him at 5. Growing stronger, growing closer from here, life in Selphville becomes a whirlwind of growth. Camille personally trains Ryoma in offensive magic, and he masters spell after spell with unnerving speed. The family's butler teaches him advanced spatial magic, letting him create living, breathable storage dimensions capable of transporting his slimes anywhere. During a mining expedition with Ilya, the two fight side by side against swarms of monsters, and Ryoma even discovers he can extract and refine raw iron ore using nothing but his own magic, a skill that immediately catches a local trader's interest. Things escalate further during a joint mission to clear a monster-infested mine, when what should have been a manageable job spirals into a fight against an army of over 2,000 goblins. While the other adventurers run low on arrows and options, Ryoma calmly shields the entire group with a soundproof barrier, unleashes a wave of his own slimes, and helps wipe out the horde, including its hobgoblin commander, without a single casualty. Not long after, Ryoma makes a decision that surprises everyone. He tells Jamil's family that it's time for him to strike out on his own. He's grateful for everything they've given him, but he realizes he's never truly built anything by himself, on the condition that he visits regularly, writes every week, and always stays with them when he passes through the city. Ilya adds one more request of her own: promise to meet again in 3 years, and again in 6. Act 6, the Bamboo Forest. With his mind set on a business plan, Ryoma decides to open something the world has genuinely never seen before: a fully slime-powered laundry service. No detergent, no water damage, no wasted gear, just his scavenger and cleaner slimes doing what they do best, with his metal slime pressing out every wrinkle afterward. Backed by the trader and the merchants guild, he buys a rundown plot of land in the heart of the city, clears it out, builds the shop from the ground up, and names it the Bamboo Forest. Along the way, he keeps hiring a pair of twins to help run the counter, and later, a father-daughter pair of former assassins, Faye and Leah, who are honest with him about their dark past and are stunned when Ryoma hires them anyway. Healing Faye's broken leg on the spot with one of his healing slimes. More staff soon follow, including a talented cook named Selma, as the shop's popularity explodes almost overnight, helped along by an unexpected poster campaign from his adventurer friend, Mia. Business booms so fast that Ryoma has to scramble to hire more help just to keep up, and in a small but telling detail, he's one of the first employers in this entire world to think to give his staff actual paid time off, something that leaves his employees stunned and endlessly grateful. It's a quiet, meaningful callback to the very life he escaped. This time, he makes sure nobody working for him ever feels the way he used to feel. Act 7, a promise worth keeping even with a thriving business, Ryoma never stops expanding his world. He tracks down and tames a rare blood slime abandoned by disappointed adventurers, trains alongside Ilya's family in advanced beast-taming techniques, and ultimately teleports out with the entire Duke's family to witness witness one of the world's rarest natural events. The migration of the elusive Limberbirds. During the outing, chaos briefly erupts when an impatient adventurer tries to force tame one of the birds and ends up under attack from the flock's devastating sound-based magic. Ryoma steps in without hesitation, using his own magic to neutralize the threat and save the man's life. Later that evening, as the birds return to the pond at sunset, Ilya picks up her violin and plays a melody so beautiful that 9 of the rare birds form a bond with her on the spot. Not to be outdone, Ryoma pulls out a guitar, an instrument this world has never even seen before, and manages to charm an entire flock of his own, including the legendary near-untamable nightmare Limberbird. That night, before Ilya leaves for school the next morning, the two of them share a quiet, sincere goodbye. She gives him a treasured, magical pendant gifted to her by her own mother, asking him to keep it as a lucky charm. In return, the oblivious Ryoma hands her 2 of his most prized slimes, completely missing the emotional weight of the moment, but making Ilya smile anyway. The next day, they part ways, each promising to grow stronger and to find their way back to each other again. That's the story of a man who worked himself to death and got a second chance to build the life, the family, and the found community he never had the first time around. If you want to see every slime, every spell, and every heartfelt moment for yourself, go watch the full series. And let me know in the comments, what would you do first if you woke up in a fantasy world with SS rank magic?